Dr. Anderson, what do you think the significance is of Britain leaving the EU?
Oh, I think that's a great significance, not only for international purposes, but also for any countries that are not in the on the European continent, and it has even greater importance for Black folk in America, since Black people in this country and around the world have always been outside and underneath the system, politically speaking, and so this is of great importance. You see, Britain is pulling out of the European unity. Was one of the predictions I made back in about 1997 in my books, Black Labor, White Wealth, and Powernomics. I predicted that in the 21st century, there will be a balkanization of nations around the world, where all nations are going to start competing for the ownership and control of land, resources, and power, along religious lines, ethnic lines, and class lines. And that's what's happening. And see, the Britain right now, they just voted to say, let's pull out of the European unity, because they're fearful of two things. One is the unending influx of immigrants into the country that are displacing the British population. And I'm sure you're going to have other nations following suit, like Sweden, you got like Portugal, like Italy, like Spain, and like Greece. They're going to pull out. They're going to start building fences around their country. So we don't want any more people coming in here and displacing our population and overburden our social system and our educational system. And then when that happens in Europe, that same thing going to happen in the United States, and starting with some of our western states, like Texas, for instance. Texas already coming up with what, instead of a Brit exit, you're going to have a Tex exit, which means Texas is going to try to succeed from the United States unity, because people in Texas right now are totally dissatisfied with the unending influx of immigrants coming from across the Mexican border into Texas. And some of the other states like Arizona and New Mexico have the same concerns. And as they begin to pull out, what's going to happen is the United States is going to have major problems based on what they're going to do about blocking the borders and stopping the immigrants from coming in. Now, for Black folk, what's going to happen is that while everybody else is building barriers and barricades to protect themselves from outsiders, the most wide open areas in the United States in Black communities, are Black neighborhoods, because we don't even have communities. Because see, whites and other groups, they block off and lock up and identify their communities and build structures around them. Where you go to Chinatown might have a great big signs and artifacts saying this is Chinatown. I can go to out to Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills is going to have guards and security guards and gates, and saying, hey, we don't want anybody to come into Beverly Hills without being watched and overlooked. But see, in Black communities are totally wide open. Anybody can go into a Black community, a Black neighborhood. I keep using the word community, but we don't really have it in communities. They're not communities. We have neighborhoods. You can go into any Black neighborhood in America. It's totally wide open. You can go in there at night and dump garbage on the streets. You can dump it on vacant lots. You can go in there and run drugs. You can go in there and run prostitution. You can go in there and run stolen hot merchandise. You can do anything in a Black neighborhood because there's no barriers that stop you. And Black folk need to start getting together and start figuring out what they're going to do, protect themselves, while all the other groups and all the other cities and all the other races, even in this country, are beginning to balkanize and protect themselves. As a matter of fact, even if you go in some of the rural areas of America, you can find these groups, some of these white Nazi groups and paramilitary groups, watching all the white neighborhoods in these rural areas. They'll have people sitting on the side of the road monitoring traffic coming through and making sure that you're not coming there to do any damage. But nobody's protecting the Black communities. You have no Black organizations, no Black politicians trying to stand up and now telling Black folk how to protect themselves, secure themselves, and have the necessary services and foods and materials that they're going to need to be able to exist and compete in this country. It's coming, but Black people are totally unprepared for it. But again, if they were to go back to and start inscribing and registering for our Powernomics courses in politics, they will learn some of these things. And they can go to that anytime they want it by going to powernomics.tv and register for these courses. These are academic courses that will teach them everything they need to know about politics, and give them a certificate, give them a self-test, and champion the causes of political empowerment of Black folk in America.